Barcelona today didn't lose because of bad luck. We lost because of the weakest link. Real Madrid exposed that link. He got pressed. Lamine Yamal, well, then as a result, got silenced, and the whole system collapsed. In this video, I'll explain exactly what went wrong for Barcelona and how Madrid turned a tiny little detail into a win, which they're gonna stretch out for so long. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. And yes, unfortunately, Barcelona lost against Real Madrid. Real Madrid come as the victorious, the champions, the winners of this first El Clásico of the season. A goal from Kylian Mbappé and another one from Jude Bellingham. As you know, I'm trying to upfront the knowledge always in this channel. So I will try to keep this as short and as brief as possible. And let's just get down into the most important thing. But before we do that, guys, be sure to drop a like and subscribe because it's so important. It's so important to remain united in this horrible moment when we're just gonna get smashed by comments from Real Madrid fans. I wanted to start off right away by discussing what for me was the most unfortunate event of the evening, and that 100% has to be none other than Lamine Yamal. I think that Lamine Yamal, there was a lot of talk from him at the start of this game. There was a lot of talk of him coming into it, and I gotta raise my hands up, and I think that he got humbled. I think it's good as well that it happens very early to any player in their career. And I think it's gonna happen not very often, but I think that he will learn a lot from this. You know, I think there's no problem in saying some things sometimes you got them wrong. Or the most important thing is that whenever you talk and whenever you lose as a result of not as a result of your talking, but you know, you lose and you have talked, you just have to, you know, take it on the chest, continue, keep working at it. Everybody talks. Everybody talks. That's a fact. Everybody talks. I talk, you talk, your mom talks, everybody talks up, everybody likes to brag. If I was as good as Lamine Yamal, I would probably brag a lot more, to be honest. But you could see at the end of the game how directly Carvajal went to him and did this little, you know, the little kind of, you talk too much. And I think this will come good for everybody. I think this will come good for him. I think it will come good for Barcelona, maybe for the dressing room. I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there. But I think that Real Madrid really, after all those comments and after particularly the last season where they got demolished by Barcelona, all El Clásicos we won. Let's remember, all El Clásicos we won. 4-0, 5-2, 4-3. We won all of them. And Real Madrid really need to grind it out with this result. And I think that they did. You know, they needed to win no matter what. And they closed out the game whenever they could. And I think that their players really turned up. And that's one thing that I think that Barcelona got wrong. I think that Barcelona should have 100% at least give it more when it comes to winning and try to beat for those second balls. Because Barcelona kept up losing and hanging for those opportunities. Whenever you're not playing good like Barcelona did in the first half, or well, throughout mostly of the 90 minutes, you need to at least make sure that your effort, the way that you move yourself on the pitch, that you perceive yourself on the pitch, needs to be top notch. It needs to be 100%. If you're not, I don't know, winning tactically, you need to at least make sure that whenever you go to a foul, whenever you go to a duel, you go at 100%. That's a must. That's a guarantee that you need to put that in, you know, that effort. And I think our players tried a lot more in the second half. But the first one, there were some instances where we were really not pressing. I think their team was way more, you know, worried about conceding than actually attacking. And I think that's something very, very bad whenever you're trying to face Real Madrid. When you play into their hands into that way, I think that they're always going to exploit you. Particularly when Barcelona's high line is worse than it was last season. I think that Barcelona's high line is something that we need to talk about maybe more in depth in another video. But in this instance, it's worrying because we know that the captain, the guy that really sort of commanded this entire offside trap, was Íñigo Martínez. And you lose Íñigo Martínez. You lose this guy right here. Let me just pull him up on screen so you can guys take a look. You lose this guy right here, and everything crumbles. Everything collapses. Really, this guy is was your captain without the armband, and I think that he led everything that Hansi Flick wanted to do on the pitch defensively. And now without him, I think the weakest link for Barcelona, 100%, was Cubarsí. I think that Cubarsí was not up to scratch, and I think that Cubarsí really was left with us playing a very weak game, and he was pressed constantly. He was pressed constantly for many instances where Mbappé had that first opportunity to score on goal. He was the one being pressed by, and he cleared that ball and fell into, I think it was Fermín López, who got pressed by Arda Güler, and came that volley by Mbappe. And that was all down to Cubarsí. He was being pressed constantly, and I think that is something that Real Madrid with Xabi Alonso did very well. They're always, I think, better in the press than what they were 100% with Ancelotti. And the other thing that I think that if you just want to sort of understand the game in a nutshell, I think that Bellingham is at a very good physical, place. He's looking very, very sharp coming back from his injury. And I think that is certainly going to be a massive push for Real Madrid and whatever they want to do this season. And Mbappe is just very terrifying. That's the fact. That's the game. Mbappe is very, very terrifying. He's scoring that many goals this season. I think this is his 16th or 17th goal throughout the campaign already, and that's insane for someone like Kylian. And he keeps firing, and he brings a lot more to the team than rather just the attacking and the scoring goals. He does a lot more defensively as well. So that's in a nutshell. If I just want to be respectful of your time, guys, I think that's what you need to understand what happened today. I think that particularly Barcelona's high line is worse than last season, but we're going to go in depth because there are very tiny little details that I think that change throughout this game, or particularly throughout this season, that I think that Hansi Flick has to address. And one of them particularly, just to get into it, is that, well, if you didn't know last season, the average, the distance between Chesney and the defense. Let me actually let's pull up the team. Let's pull out the team so you can take a look. Let's pull out the team. So you can see that right now this is the team. Before I get into that point that I wanted to talk about, let's just talk about the starting 11. I think that's a better place to start, actually. Barcelona went into the Bernabeu with Wojciech Szczesny, Alejandro Balde, Eric Garcia, Pau Cubarsí, Jules Koundé, Frankie de Jong, Pedri, Marcus Rashford, Fermín López, Lamine Yamal, and Ferran Torres, whilst Xabi Alonso went with Thibaut Courtois, Federico Valverde, Eder Militao, Dunhausen, Álvaro Carrera, Aurélien Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr., Arda Güler, Eduardo Camavinga, Jude Bellingham, and Kylian Mbappé. Actually, on the Real Madrid lineup, Camavinga and Bellingham were swapped. That is a place where I think that Real Madrid really won tactically. Camavinga sort of dropped in deep as a wide half and protected Valverde quite a lot. I was expecting a lot more from Marcus Rashford, particularly in the first half, where Lamine Yamal was not having that many opportunities. The ball wasn't really flowing into Lamine Yamal, and you could say that that is down to, well, Camavinga. I think that Camavinga basically ran the length of the pitch, or the width of the pitch, I think it's a better word to explain it, and kept both Marcus Rashford on the left very silent, and on the right, because of Barcelona constantly trying to look for Marcus Rashford, Lamine Yamal ended up being very isolated. And I think that was a very big problem that Barcelona solved in the second half, but Camavinga had an incredible time during that first, I'll say, spell of 60, 70 minutes. I think Camavinga was top notch, to be honest, for Real Madrid. But what I wanted to mention is that the defense line between Jules Koundé, Pau Cubarsí, Eric Garcia, and Alejandro Balde to Szczesny. So this line right here, guys, between those two, last season on average was 40 meters. 40 meters in distance, where our last line of defense was, or were, to the goalkeeper. And this season is 42 meters. So Hansi Flick has not only lost his best defender when it comes to the offside trap and the one that commands everything in Íñigo Martínez, but he has expanded the the distance between the two even more. And I think that is a tremendous detail. And we see that constantly, times and times like this season, Barcelona is going to concede a lot more. And if you take a look at, for instance, someone like Chesney here, he was man of the match because, according to SofaScore, because he prevented so many goals. I mean, he saved the penalty from Mbappé. He had 6 saves inside the box. He punched it 2 times out, and he had 2 successful run-ins. Chesney was out of this world in this game. He was really, really good. And that is all down, not to Real Madrid, well, mainly down to our defense, because we, for whatever reason, just keep playing this way. And it's not bad. When everything goes right, it's easy not to criticize it. But when it's going wrong, the problems last season were also due to the high line. And the problems this season are still due to the same high line. I think that Barcelona doesn't have right now the center backs to do that sort of formation. We don't have a Virgil van Dijk. We don't have I don't know who else could sort of do that. I mean, apart from Konaté, Liverpool play that way, sort of, kind of, sometimes. But in reality, someone like Ronald Araujo should have been perfect, but for whatever reason, Flick just doesn't really prefer him. It's like Flick just doesn't really like, or Araujo doesn't really adapt to Flick's offside trap. I think we know that by a fact. So that's a place where we're really, really lacking. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there, guys, because it's really, really unfortunate what's happening. This game was really, really bad. But anyhow, let's continue. I think we should go over and talk about basically the game in a chronological order, if there's somewhat to it. We, of course, had Lamine Yamal's and the penalty on Vinicius Jr. I think that is particularly the first time I saw maybe the Lamine Yamal chat and everything going a little bit too crazy on him. I think that penalty was Vinicius Jr. who kicked Lamine Yamal. I think that's a fact. That's what happens. And then soon after, well, we saw the goal from Bellingham. And that goal from Bellingham to Mbappé, that is something that's always going to happen. It's always going to happen when it happens like that, because it's Bellingham that the pass is just too perfect. The high line was good in a way because it was very tight. But Kylian Mbappé, with his run, was just way too deadly. And I think that that's when we started seeing Cubarsí being the one being pressed constantly. Fermin Lopez got the goal later on in the 37th minute, which was good, but getting conceded 4 minutes after conceding the other goal from Bellingham was really, really bad, to be honest. And then the other penalty that Chesney saved, I mean, Barcelona had really luck on their side, and this could have ended a lot more. But for me, really, I wanted to point out Cubarsí in this video. I really wanted to point out the high line. I think that Barcelona did not have a good game at all. I think Koundé gave out a lot of spaces for Vinicius Jr. I think that was really, really bad for Koundé. He got really, really exposed. So I think that's a place where we need to improve. And in all honesty, fair play to Real Madrid. They just grinded out the result when they needed to, and they did that. They did that. I think they were much more up to this game than Barcelona. And at the latter stages of the game, you could just see that we were lacking bench players, quality. You know, normally we would have Rashford coming on the bench and he would 100% have a bigger impact in a game like this. I mean, he still got the assist, which is very good for someone like Rashford. But in all honesty, like, Rafinha should have been starting. Maybe even Lewandowski could have started this game. We're lacking players and quality, to be honest. Dani Olmo could have done a little bit. We could have done a little bit with Dani Olmo. Rooney Bardacci did okay. So I don't know. I just feel that our bench looked very, very thin, and most of our, substitutions came from Araujo and the defensive line. At the end, we pulled Gerard Martin in for Alejandro Balde, which was very, very weird to do. But everything went wrong. And Marcus Sork, whenever he manages, our second coach, you could say, man, he has a 0% victory percent with Barcelona. All games he has played with Barcelona as the main coach in the sideline, against Leganés, against Real Madrid today, and I think it was against Athletic Bilbao, we've all lost. We've all lost the games with him on the sideline. So please, Hansi Flick, do not get yourself sent off. Please do not. And talking about the sending off, I almost forgot. Pedri Pedri got sent off, guys. Pedri got sent off. Fuck that. It seems that when Pedri gets nullified, the whole team forgets how to play and in attack. And it makes a lot of sense. Pedri was completely nullified throughout this game, and that's kudos to Xabi Alonso. Like, fair play to him. And in all honesty, that's why maybe Lamine Yamal was brought in through the middle. Lamine Yamal was brought in through the middle, and that experiment did not work at all. I think that we would rely normally with Rafinha on the right if that were the case, or someone like a Rashford on the left if that were to happen. But I like Lamine Yamal a lot through the right. I like Rafinha a lot through the middle, and I think that should end up being our attack. I really do think that should end up being our attack with Fermin Lopez playing in around the midfield as well. I think there are some strong points, and the only things that we can take away from it is that it's good. Lamine Yamal is gonna keep his mouth shut a little bit more, which I'm okay with him talking. You know, I'm okay with, because I think this makes him more mature. So I'm okay with it. I think that Rashford, the assist is good. He keeps sticking. I think Fermin Lopez with the goal scoring record, he keeps at it. So I think that overall there's some certain things that we can still be happy about, but in all honesty, it was just disappointing. If it's just disappointing, I think Real Madrid really had it in their back to win this game, and they did. They really grinded all they needed to, and this result could have been much more. And we ended up looking just like a 2-1 defeat. And I think it's okay. It's worse. I would feel a lot bad about this result, particularly if the scoreline was higher. But I'm very, very disappointed more about the end result of La Liga, because Real Madrid now are 5 points away from Barcelona. And if we could just pull like a draw out of it, because Real Madrid really didn't close the game down. The game was there for us to really equalize. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But that's it right now, guys, in a new setup. I'm trying to fix some things. That's why it took me longer to do right now. I was just about to record, and my microphone just broke down, so I had to replace the microphone with this one here right now, and awful stuff. But anyhow, guys, see you in the next one. Take care. Ciao, ciao.